Throughout our life, we're going to encounter people that are very, very difficult to deal with, and that is it's very difficult to conclude a dispute because of how irrational they are, because of how they behave more based on emotion. And it makes it very difficult. But we find these kinds of people throughout our lives. We find them at work. We find them at a store. I actually had a situation with a person that was very, very irrational with me at AutoZone. And oh man, it was such a headache. But we find these kinds of situations even like with our friends. But there's a part of our life in which we have a tough time really trying to get a hold of ourselves. In this particular part of our lives, we are more willing to take abuse, insults, so many things that we wouldn't normally take from somebody else. Like if it happened at work, you would say like, what the fuck, who the hell are you? You're not gonna fuck, and like you freaking close them off, you cut them off, and like it's like nothing. Thing is, we find this a lot in our own families. But here, it's very difficult for you to do what's good for you and say, okay, I'm gonna let go of this. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna do what's good for me because I've put enough. Like, here, it's harder to say this. It's harder to say that. But in reality, it should be looked at the same way. Because if we look at how we are to, in a way, judge somebody, because that's what we're doing. We're judging somebody based on something, right? At the very least, we should do it based on how they're behaving towards us. Not like because that is your manager, you now have to treat them with a different kind of respect than you would treat your other coworkers. Not because it's your mother, now this person can insult you and you can't defend yourself and speak back. No. See, just because they carry a particular title doesn't mean that you are to allow yourself to be treated in a poor way, mistreated, insulted. You do this everywhere else, but you don't do it here. You are letting go of yourself to protect this ideal that has been inputted into us from generation to generation. But it's a false ideal, because everywhere else where we look at, we do tend to look more at how somebody behaves. And then we're like, nah, I'm not going to hang out with that person because of like, I mean, there's still some people that judge based on the way the others dress and other shit, but that's another subject. But the behavior should be looked at, even in family.